Attraction is a mirror of your soul. Carl Jung's 2 reasons why. Have you ever felt an instant magnetic pull towards someone? A connection so powerful it felt almost cosmic? That inexplicable moment when your eyes meet a stranger's across a crowded room, and suddenly, everything else fades away? What if I told you that according to Carl Jung, one of history's most brilliant psychologists, this attraction wasn't random at all, but instead, a profound reflection of your deepest self? What if the people you're most attracted to are actually revealing parts of your soul you've been hiding, even from yourself? Today we're diving deep into the mysterious world of Jungian psychology to uncover the 2 astonishing reasons why attraction works like a mirror, reflecting both your greatest potential and your darkest shadows. If you've ever wondered why you keep falling for the same type of person, or why certain relationships feel destined while others feel forced, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden psychological forces driving your attractions in a way that might forever change how you see your relationships and yourself. Before we continue, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This channel is your sanctuary for Jungian insights into love and relationships that you won't find anywhere else. Now, let's begin our journey into the depths of the collective unconscious, where the truth about your attractions has been hiding all along. When Carl Jung first began exploring the psychology of attraction, he discovered something remarkable that went against conventional wisdom. While most people believe we're attracted to those who complement our strengths or compensate for our weaknesses, Jung proposed something much more profound. We're drawn to people who mirror aspects of our own souls, particularly the parts we fail to recognize in ourselves. This mirroring effect operates through 2 fascinating psychological mechanisms that Jung identified. The first involves what he called the projection of the self, our attraction to people who embody our highest potential. The second, perhaps more intriguing mechanism, involves what Jung termed the shadow, our attraction to those who reflect our disowned parts. These 2 mechanisms explain why attraction often feels like destiny rather than choice, and understanding them could be the key to transforming your relationship patterns forever. If you've ever felt an inexplicable pull towards someone, or wondered why certain people trigger intense emotional reactions in you, stay with me, because what comes next might explain everything you've been questioning about your love life. Let's start by exploring Jung's first reason, the projection of the self and how our attractions reveal our hidden potential. According to Jung, at the core of your psyche lies what he called the self, the organizing center of your personality that contains your fullest potential. It's who you could become if you integrated all aspects of your being. But here's the fascinating part. Most of us don't have direct access to this self. Instead, we catch glimpses of it through projections, particularly in the people we find most attractive. Have you ever met someone and felt instantly captivated by their confidence, creativity, or wisdom? Something about them seemed to glow with an almost magical quality? Jung would say you're not just admiring these qualities in them, you're recognizing aspects of your own unlived potential. This projection is what gives attraction its numinous, almost spiritual quality. When you feel that someone is perfect, or everything I've been looking for, you're often seeing your own divine potential reflected back at you. It's as if your soul recognizes itself in another. Think about someone you've been deeply attracted to recently. What qualities drew you to them? What did you admire most? Stay with me because in a moment I'll show you how these very qualities might be revealing your own untapped potential. The self-projection explains why new relationships often feel so exhilarating. When you meet someone who embodies qualities of your own unlived self, you temporarily experience wholeness through them. You feel more alive, more authentic, more connected to your true nature. Jung observed this phenomenon in countless patients. One woman he treated was inexplicably drawn to artistic men, despite having no conscious interest in art herself. Through analysis, she discovered a profound artistic talent she had suppressed since childhood due to parental disapproval. Her attractions were consistently pointing her toward her unlived creative potential. This reveals the first reason attraction acts as a mirror. It reflects our highest possibilities back to us. The qualities that most captivate us in others are often the very qualities we need to develop within ourselves to become whole. But here's where it gets even more interesting, and where most relationships begin to face challenges. Are you ready to discover the shadow side of attraction that Jung identified? This next insight might explain why passionate relationships often become painfully complicated. Let me ask you, have you ever been initially attracted to someone's confidence, only to later find it irritatingly arrogant? Or fallen for someone's sensitivity, only to later feel frustrated by their emotional neediness? This paradox reveals Jung's second, more confronting reason why attraction mirrors your soul. Now we arrive at what may be Jung's most revolutionary insight, the shadow projection. While the self-projection attracts us to our highest potential, the shadow projection draws us to the disowned parts of ourselves, the qualities we've rejected, repressed, or denied. Jung defined the shadow as the part of your personality that you've pushed into the unconscious because it didn't fit your self-image or was deemed unacceptable by your family, culture, or society. These aren't necessarily negative qualities. They might include your playfulness, vulnerability, power, or sexuality, anything you learned to hide or suppress. Here's the mind-bending part. Your unconscious mind is constantly seeking wholeness, trying to bring these disowned parts back into awareness. And one of its most effective methods? Making you intensely attracted to people who embody your shadow. If you've ever found yourself in a relationship dynamic that feels frustratingly familiar, perhaps repeatedly attracting partners with the same troubling qualities, pay close attention to what comes next. This insight could break patterns you've been struggling with for years. Jung observed that we're often most powerfully attracted to people who embody qualities we've disowned in ourselves. The quiet, responsible person falls for the wild, spontaneous rebel. The rational thinker is drawn to the intuitive dreamer. The perfectionist is captivated by the carefree spirit. But why would we be attracted to qualities we've rejected in ourselves? Because on a soul level, we recognize that we need these qualities to become whole. Your attractions are not random, they're precise psychological mechanisms guiding you toward completeness. Consider this example from Jung's clinical practice. A highly controlled, intellectual man found himself repeatedly drawn to emotionally expressive, artistic women. In therapy, he discovered that he had suppressed his own emotional nature after being ridiculed for crying as a child. His attractions were consistently pointing him toward his disowned emotional self. Are you beginning to see patterns in your own attractions? Are you recognizing aspects of yourself in the people you've been drawn to? Keep watching because next I'll reveal how these shadow projections create both the intense passion and the painful conflicts in our relationships. The shadow projection explains one of relationships' greatest paradoxes. Why we often end up criticizing in our partners the very qualities that initially attracted us. When you project your shadow onto someone, you first experience fascination and attraction. But as the relationship develops, these same qualities often become sources of conflict, criticism, and even contempt. Now let's explore how these two forms of projection, self and shadow, create the typical cycle that relationships follow, from initial infatuation to inevitable conflict. When you first meet someone who triggers both your self and shadow projections, the experience can be electrifying. You feel seen, understood, and appreciated in ways you've never experienced before. There's an almost magical quality to the connection, what Jung might call synchronicity, as if the universe itself orchestrated your meeting. This is the honeymoon phase of attraction, where your partner seems perfect. You're experiencing what Jung called participation mystique, a blurring of psychological boundaries where you feel almost mystically connected to the other person. If you've ever experienced that magical feeling of knowing someone immediately or feeling like you've met your other half, you're witnessing these projections in action. And what I'm about to share next explains why this magical feeling often doesn't last. As the relationship progresses, something inevitable happens. Reality begins to intrude on your projections. You start to see the full humanity of your partner, not just the idealized qualities you projected onto them. This is when relationships typically enter their first crisis. The shadow aspects that initially fascinated you now begin to irritate or threaten you. Your partner's spontaneity, which once seemed delightful, now feels irresponsible. Their confidence now seems like arrogance. Their emotional depth now feels like neediness. Jung observed that this crisis point isn't a sign that you've chosen the wrong person. It's actually an invitation to profound psychological growth. The very qualities that trigger you in your partner are showing you the parts of yourself that need integration. This explains why our most significant relationships often feel like they're breaking us open. They're breaking open the artificial boundaries of our conscious personality to reveal the disowned aspects of ourselves. If you're currently experiencing conflict in a relationship, I want you to consider something revolutionary. What if your partner's most annoying qualities are actually pointing you toward aspects of yourself that need acknowledgement and integration? Stay with me to discover how to transform these relationship triggers into opportunities for profound growth. Jung proposed that the ultimate purpose of romantic attraction isn't just companionship or reproduction. It's individuation, the process of becoming psychologically whole. Your attractions are guiding you toward the disowned parts of yourself that need reclaiming. This is why Jung famously said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Attraction isn't just about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right person by reclaiming all aspects of your authentic self. To fully understand Jung's theory of attraction as soul reflection, we need to explore two of his most fascinating concepts: the anima and animus, inner figures that powerfully influence who we're attracted to. Jung observed that within each person's unconscious mind lives an image of the opposite gender, a kind of inner partner or soul image. In men, this figure is called the anima, the feminine aspect of the male psyche. In women, it's called the animus, the masculine aspect of the female psyche. Though Jung worked within a more binary understanding of gender than we might today, the core concept remains powerfully relevant. These inner figures serve as bridges between our conscious mind and the deeper unconscious. And here's the crucial point. We tend to project these inner figures onto potential partners, creating instant, powerful attractions. Have you ever met someone and felt like you've known them forever? As if they perfectly embody what you've always been looking for, even if you couldn't articulate it before? That's your anima or animus projection at work, and understanding it could transform how you approach relationships. Jung believed that the anima/animus develops through our earliest relationships with opposite gender figures, particularly parents. These early experiences create a kind of template or imprint that influences our attractions throughout life, often unconsciously. This explains why you might find yourself attracted to partners who resemble your parent in subtle, or sometimes obvious, ways. It's not necessarily Freudian. It's your psyche seeking to work through and evolve your primary relationship patterns. But here's where Jung's insight becomes truly revolutionary. He believed that the ultimate purpose of these projections isn't to find someone who matches your inner image perfectly. Rather, it's to recognize these figures as parts of yourself that need integration. The woman you're intensely attracted to isn't actually your anima. She's triggering your recognition of this inner feminine aspect of yourself. The man who captivates you isn't your animus. He's reflecting this masculine dimension of your own psyche. This insight completely transforms how we might approach attraction in relationships. Instead of asking, "Is this the right person for me?" we might ask, "What is this attraction revealing about my own inner wholeness? What part of myself am I seeing reflected in this person?" Keep watching as I explain how to use this awareness practically. Jung observed that as we mature psychologically, our anima/animus projections become more sophisticated. They evolve from being based on physical appearance or superficial traits to seeking deeper qualities like wisdom, creativity, and spiritual depth. This explains why our type often evolves as we grow psychologically. An immature anima projection might lead a man to chase after physically beautiful women who need rescuing. As he matures, his anima projection may evolve to seek women with inner beauty, wisdom, and strength, reflecting his own psychological development. At this point, you might be wondering, if attraction is just projection, does that mean true love is impossible? Are we all just using others as screens for our own psychological content? This is where Jung's nuance becomes crucial. He didn't see projection as inherently negative or as something to be eliminated. Rather, he saw it as a natural psychological process that, when made conscious, can lead to profound connection and growth. The problem isn't projection itself, it's unconscious projection. When we remain unaware that we're projecting, we don't actually see the real person before us. We see only our own unconscious content superimposed onto them. This inevitably leads to disappointment, conflict, and eventually disillusionment. If you've ever felt the painful crash that comes after the initial high of attraction fades, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But don't lose hope. What I'm about to share next reveals how to transform this pattern into something much more fulfilling. Jung proposed that mature love begins precisely when our projections start to break down, when we start to see the other person as they truly are, separate from our fantasies and projections. This is when the real relationship begins. The initial attraction might be fueled by projection, but lasting love requires what Jung called withdrawal of projections, the gradual process of recognizing our projections and taking responsibility for them. As we do this, we can begin to see our partner more clearly and love them more authentically. This doesn't mean the magic disappears. Rather, it transforms from the unconscious magic of projection to the conscious magic of seeing and being seen in your full humanity. Jung believed this kind of conscious relationship had a numinous quality all its own, one even more profound than the initial attraction. If you're finding value in these insights, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who might benefit. And remember to stay with me because next I'll be sharing practical techniques for working with your projections to transform your relationships. The withdrawal of projections isn't easy. It requires courage to recognize that what bothers you most about your partner might actually be revealing disowned aspects of yourself. It requires humility to admit that your intense attractions might be showing you your own unlived potential rather than your perfect match. But this process of recognition leads to what Jung considered the highest form of relationship, one where both partners support each other's individuation, the journey towards psychological wholeness. Instead of unconsciously using each other to complete yourselves, you consciously help each other become more fully yourselves. Now that we understand Jung's 2 reasons why attraction mirrors the soul, let's explore how to work with this awareness practically. How can you use these insights to transform your relationships and accelerate your own psychological growth? The first step is developing projection awareness, learning to recognize when you're projecting rather than truly seeing the other person. Jung offered several clues to help identify projections. Emotional intensity is the most reliable indicator. When you feel an unusually strong positive or negative reaction to someone, whether attraction, repulsion, or irritation, there's likely projection involved. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the projection. Another clue is when you find yourself making sweeping judgments about someone without really knowing them. "He's exactly what I've been looking for," or "she's just like all the others," are statements that usually reveal more about your inner world than about the other person. Take a moment to reflect on your most recent attraction or relationship conflict. Can you identify the projections at play? What might they be revealing about your own psyche? This awareness alone can be transformative. Once you've identified a projection, Jung suggested a practice he called taking back the projection. This doesn't mean eliminating your feelings, but rather recognizing them as valuable information about yourself. Ask yourself, what qualities am I attributing to this person? How might these qualities relate to aspects of myself? Either qualities I value but don't recognize in myself, or qualities I've rejected and pushed into my shadow. For example, if you're intensely attracted to someone's creativity, ask yourself, how am I creative? How might I express more creativity in my life? If you're repeatedly irritated by someone's neediness, ask, how do I deny my own needs? Where am I not acknowledging my own vulnerability? This practice isn't about dismissing your attractions or relationship challenges. It's about using them as doorways to greater self-knowledge and authenticity. And if you're finding these insights valuable, make sure you're subscribed, because in future videos, we'll be diving even deeper into specific Jungian techniques for relationship transformation. Jung believed that conscious relationships, where both partners are aware of their projections and working with them, create a container for extraordinary growth. He called this the container of transformation, where both individuals could develop in ways that would be impossible alone. This is why attraction truly is a mirror of the soul. It reflects back to us both our highest potential and our disowned shadow, guiding us toward greater wholeness if we have the courage to look deeply into that mirror. We've explored how attraction mirrors our personal unconscious content, both our self and shadow projections. But Jung's understanding went even deeper, into what he called the collective unconscious, the layer of the psyche we all share as human beings. Jung proposed that beyond our personal unconscious lies this collective dimension containing universal patterns he called archetypes. These archetypes, like the hero, the great mother, the wise old man, the trickster, are primordial images that have shaped human experience across cultures and throughout history. According to Jung, these archetypes also profoundly influence our attractions. Sometimes we're drawn to someone not just because they embody our personal projections, but because they activate an archetypal energy within us. This explains why certain attractions feel almost mythic in their power, as if you're being pulled by forces beyond your personal history or preferences. Have you ever felt this kind of archetypal attraction? Stay with me as I explain how to recognize and work with these powerful forces. When archetypal attraction is at play, the relationship takes on a numinous, almost sacred quality. You might feel that your meeting was fated, or that you recognize each other from a former life. The connection feels larger than life, carrying a symbolic significance that transcends ordinary experience. Jung observed that while these archetypal attractions can be profoundly meaningful, they also carry unique challenges. The archetypal energy can be so powerful that it overwhelms the human relationship, making it difficult to see the real person before you. This explains why some relationships feel so transcendent initially, yet become impossible to sustain. The human reality cannot indefinitely support the weight of archetypal projection. Eventually, the ordinary humanity of both partners asserts itself, sometimes leading to profound disillusionment. However, Jung didn't see this as a reason to avoid archetypal attractions. Rather, he viewed them as opportunities for profound transformation if approached with consciousness. When you recognize the archetypal dimension of attraction, You can honor its significance without demanding that your partner permanently embody a universal archetype. Understanding the difference between personal projection and archetypal attraction can be life-changing for your relationships. If you're experiencing an attraction that feels larger than life, consider what archetypal energies might be at play, and remember to stay grounded in the human reality of the connection. Jung noted that certain relationships seem destined to enter our lives to catalyze specific aspects of our growth. These aren't always meant to be lifelong partnerships. Sometimes they're meant to activate particular archetypal energies within us, setting us on new paths of development. This explains why some brief relationships can have such profound, life-altering impacts, while others that last much longer might affect us less deeply. Duration and significance don't always correlate when archetypal energies are involved. No exploration of Jung's understanding of attraction would be complete without discussing one of his most fascinating concepts: synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by conventional causality. Jung observed that significant relationships often begin with synchronistic events, uncanny coincidences that seem to orchestrate your meeting or connection with another person. You might discover you share the same unusual birthday, or that you both grew up in the same small town on opposite sides of the world, or that you were reading the same obscure book when you met. These synchronicities, Jung believed, reveal the underlying connection between psyche and matter, between inner and outer reality. They suggest that our attractions aren't just psychological. They participate in a larger pattern of meaning that encompasses both mind and world. Have you ever experienced strange coincidences around meeting someone important? These synchronicities might be revealing the deeper purpose of the connection. Stay with me as I explain how to read these meaningful patterns in your own life. Jung proposed that synchronicities tend to cluster around archetypally significant moments in our lives, times of transformation, crisis, or breakthrough. This is why romantic attractions often feature synchronistic events. They're frequently vehicles for major psychological development. This dimension of Jung's thought opens up a profound possibility: that attraction isn't merely a subjective, psychological phenomenon. It might be participating in what he called the unus mundus, the unified reality that underlies both psyche and matter, inner and outer worlds. In this sense, the people we're attracted to aren't just random individuals who happen to match our projection patterns. They may be meaningful participants in our individual journey of becoming, connections that are somehow meant to be, not in a simplistic destined sense, but as part of the larger intelligent pattern of life itself. This perspective transforms how we might view even our most difficult attractions and relationships. If you've ever wondered, why did this person come into my life? Or, what was the meaning of that relationship? Jung would suggest looking for the psychological development it catalyzed in you. Jung observed that when we view our attractions through this lens of meaning rather than mere causality, we open ourselves to their transformative potential. Instead of asking, why am I attracted to this type? A causal question, we might ask, what is this attraction trying to show me? What is trying to become more conscious through this connection? Questions of meaning. This represents a profound shift from seeing attraction as something that happens to you based on your past, to seeing it as something that's guiding you toward your future development, toward greater wholeness and integration. As we bring our exploration full circle, let's integrate Jung's two fundamental reasons why attraction mirrors the soul: the projection of the self and the projection of the shadow. Together, these mechanisms reveal attraction as a sophisticated guidance system, continuously directing us toward greater wholeness. Jung's perspective offers a radical alternative to conventional views of attraction. Instead of seeing attraction as primarily about finding the right person, he invites us to see it as a path of becoming more fully ourselves. The right person, in this view, is someone who activates your journey of individuation, the process of psychological integration and wholeness. This doesn't mean relationships are merely vehicles for self-development. Jung deeply valued the mystery and wonder of human connection. Rather, it means that authentic relationship becomes possible precisely as we do the inner work of recognizing and integrating our projections. Before we conclude, I want to offer you 3 practical questions that Jung might suggest for transforming your current or future relationships. Write these down, as they can be powerful tools for self-reflection and growth. First, what qualities in others consistently attract me, and how might these reflect my own unlived potential? Remember, what you admire most in others often reveals aspects of your own self that are seeking expression. Second, what traits in others consistently irritate or trigger me, and how might these relate to my own disowned shadow? Your strongest emotional reactions often point directly to your shadow content. Third, how might my attractions and relationships be inviting me to become more whole? Consider that each significant relationship has something to teach you about yourself. Jung's insights remind us that the journey of love isn't separate from the journey of self-knowledge. They are, in fact, the same journey viewed from different angles. As you come to know yourself more fully, integrating both your highest potential and your disowned shadow, you become capable of seeing and loving others more authentically. This is the promise of conscious relationship, not the fantasy of perfect union with another who completes you, but the reality of two whole individuals choosing to walk the path of growth together, each serving as a mirror for the other's continued unfolding. Attraction truly is a mirror of your soul, reflecting both your divine potential and your disowned shadow. Carl Jung gave us these two profound reasons to help us understand why we're drawn to certain people, and how these attractions can guide us toward wholeness if we have the courage to look deeply into the mirror they provide. If this exploration has resonated with you, please subscribe to this channel for more Jungian insights into love and relationships. Like this video if you found it valuable, and share it with someone who might benefit from these perspectives. Remember, attraction is a mirror of your soul for exactly the two reasons Carl Jung discovered. It reflects both your highest self and your disowned shadow, guiding you toward wholeness if you have the wisdom to see it. Until next time, may you find the courage to look deeply into the mirrors your attractions provide, and may that reflection guide you toward your most authentic self.